Where is the follow through? So many leaders can talk a big game, can make a lot of promises, can tell you what you want to hear. They can sell you on their vision, their strategy, their product, their service. But can they deliver? Can they make good on what they promised you, on what they sold you? Can they follow through? In a day and age where it's easy to say it, the world is looking for leaders who can actually back it up. And that's why I believe that for a leader, their future is in their follow through. Welcome to the Matt Ware Show, a podcast for leaders who want more and won't settle for less. Straight talk to help you lead better, live bolder, and not lose yourself in the process. If you're serious about going to the next level in life and leadership, you're in the right place. Welcome to another episode of the Matt Ware Show, where we're passionate about helping leaders go to the next level personally and professionally. Glad you're with me today, and so thankful for all the feedback that you've given me over the last few episodes as we've talked about stress and how to handle that, and talked about how stress affects you, not just professionally, but personally. And these have been some hard-won lessons I've learned navigating the rigors of leadership myself and with people that I've been able to lead and serve over all these years. And so glad to hear that it's helping you and encouraging you, maybe challenging you a little bit to look at your stress, where it's coming from, how much you have. Is it the right kind? Is it the right amount? And hopefully helping you become a more whole, more holistic, more healthy leader by prioritizing your personal life. Because you realize that how you're doing personally really does have a massive impact on how you're doing professionally. And if you've been watching or listening, I'd love it if you'd take a minute to rate or review the show on whatever platform that you're on. That just helps us get the word out, helps boost visibility, gives us more exposure so that we can help more leaders just like you. On today's show, I want to talk about something that I feel really fired up about that I realize maybe runs the risk of coming across as, me soapboxing or airing a pet peeve or something like that. But I really think this is important. I think this needs to be addressed. It needs to be discussed. And that is the topic of follow through, the absence of follow through, the inability to follow through. The lack of emphasis or importance that's placed on follow through is an epidemic in the world of leadership right now. I see it in the for-profit and nonprofit spaces. I see it with new leaders and seasoned leaders. I see it with people who lead small organizations and large ones. Leaders at every level who simply do not follow through on what they said they were going to do. And because of that, they are undermining their effectiveness and their impact as a leader. I'm talking about people who set appointments and don't show up for them. People who say they'll get back to you and then you never hear from them again. People who promise, this information, this report, this deliverable by a certain time, and then miss the deadline, and yet somehow never communicated to you about it. And then they're scratching their head, wondering why their business struggles so much. There's a ton of things that we could talk about that would help us grow as leaders in our personal lives and our professional lives. So many things, in fact, that I have absolutely zero concern about coming up with something to talk about every week. I've got this, running list of topics and concepts and principles that I want to share and teach and just kind of pour out from all of my years of leading and coaching other leaders, studying leadership. This is a lifelong pursuit for me. I believe that the greatest felt need in the world is leadership. The world needs leaders now more than ever. Leaders who are strong, leaders who are bold, leaders who are passionate, leaders who have vision, leaders who have clarity and courage and confidence. If you're a leader, I want you to know the world needs you. It needs you to be your best, and it needs you to be at your best every single day. There's too much at stake for you to lead without purpose, to lead without vision, to lead without power. The world needs great leaders like never before. And so no matter what stage of leadership you're in, whether you're just starting out or you've got decades of experience, whether you're really just leading yourself right now or maybe a small team or maybe a huge team or department or organization, Whether you feel like you're just in the learning phase of leadership or you've moved into the mastery phase, effective leadership is more about consistent execution than creative innovation. Everyone wants to be the most creative, the most innovative, the most out-of-the-box thinker, and there absolutely is a time and place for that. But great leaders know that while creativity is what may boost you in the moment, consistency is what actually builds your momentum. That's why great leaders are more interested in consistency than creativity. And something I see so many leaders struggle to be consistent with right now is follow through. And the reason why is because it's not flashy. It's not sexy. It's not creative. It's not innovative. It's not mind-blowing. It's just the basics. It's the building blocks, the foundation. This is the blocking and tackling of being successful in life and leadership. It's one of the things that, honestly, you almost don't even notice it. You don't realize it. You don't appreciate it when it is there. But man, you notice when it's not. You don't notice when people keep their word. You notice when they don't. You don't notice when somebody delivers what they said they would do, but you notice when they don't. You don't notice when they get back to you. You notice when they don't. You don't notice it when people follow through, but you sure do notice it when they don't. When I was growing up, golf was a big deal in our family. My dad is a very avid golfer, grew up playing, has played his whole adult life. He's in his early 70s now, and on a good day, he can still shoot pretty close to his age. So I just grew up with it, grew up around it. He was teaching me to play when I was a kid. Sunday afternoon ritual in our house was to come home from church and eat a big family dinner, and then he would nap in the recliner with the PGA tournament on the TV. Something about golf that my dad taught me from a young age was that follow-through is one of the most important parts of the shot. The intentionality of the follow-through, the focus of the follow-through, the direction and trajectory of the follow-through. That's what made the biggest difference. That could be the biggest determining factor in the shot. That's where the power, that's where the impact, that's where the final result were really determined. How you follow through determines how you play the game. And what I understand all these years later is that whether he meant it or not at the time, this was not just a lesson about golf. How you follow through determines how you play the game of life and leadership. Your follow through is what makes all the difference. And I know it's simple, it's basic, it's almost boring. But I'm telling you, I see so many leaders failing at follow through right now, and it is undermining them. It is sabotaging them. It is hurting them in more ways, in bigger ways than they can even imagine. And I've been thinking about this a lot lately because I've encountered it so much, and I've been trying to figure out why. Why are leaders struggling so much with this right now? Why is follow through and the lack of it such a problem, such an epidemic among leaders at every level? And so I've got a few ideas, a few theories. I want to see if any of these resonate with you. See if you see any of these things in yourself or in the people that you interact with. You can drop a comment where you're watching or listening right now, or shoot me a DM and let me know. I'd be curious to see which one of these things you feel like you're seeing or resonates with you. All right, in no particular order. I think leaders fail at follow through because number one, they don't know how to say no. They don't know how to say no. If you're a leader who can't say no, I promise you, you are going to fail at follow through. If you don't have good boundaries, if you don't have a realistic idea of what you can actually perform and deliver on, if you feel insecure, if you're afraid of hurting someone's feelings, if you just feel awkward turning down a request or a proposal or whatever, if you are a leader who doesn't know how to say no, you'll end up saying yes to things that you never should have agreed to in the first place because you don't have the ability, your team doesn't have the bandwidth, your organization doesn't have the resources to deliver on. Marty Linsky, Harvard business professor, famously said, "Leadership is the art of disappointing people at a rate they can absorb." Nobody likes to be told no, but leaders who are focused, who have purpose, who have vision, understand that they often have to say no more than they say yes. You may fail at follow through if you don't know how to say no. Number two, another reason that leaders fail at follow through is because they want to look good. They want to look like, appear as if they can do it all. So they say yes to things, they take things on, they agree to things because they want to look good to the people around them, to the people they're interacting with. And really, I think this probably just comes down to ego. This is about image. This is about wanting people to have a certain perception of you. Maybe it's, a kind of a messiah complex. You want to be a hero. You want people to think that you're, Superman, Superwoman. You can do it all. You can take on the world. You have, these amazing one-of-a-kind gifts and talents and abilities and capacities. And really what that is a mask. It's a facade. It's a charade. You will fail at follow-through if this is a driving factor for you, if you want to look good, because you're going to take on more than you should, not realizing you would actually look better saying no than saying yes and not coming through on it. Another reason that leaders are failing at follow through right now is because they lack awareness about their capabilities and their capacities. They lack self-awareness. They don't really understand what they are and are not capable of, the capacity that they do and don't have. Some leaders really do think they have more skill, more time, more resources than they do. And so they say yes to things that honestly are over their head. It's out of their reach to deliver on. Okay, this is the classic, sort of overpromise, underdeliver. And I know sometimes we use that phrase, that descriptor, with a negative connotation from the standpoint that could just be like a slick, slimy sales tactic. They're overpromising just to get the sale in the moment or whatever. But I think more often than not, leaders do have good intentions. They don't have good self-awareness. So they overpromise and underdeliver, not because they don't want to, but because they truly are not able to. They don't have a real awareness about their own capabilities and capacities. Another reason I think that leaders are failing at follow through is because deep down they are people pleasers. They're people pleasers. In leadership, you can be liked or you can be respected, but many times you cannot be both. The problem is that too many leaders want to be liked too much, and you cannot let your need to be liked eclipse your need to lead. Leaders will not always be liked. They won't always be appreciated. They won't always make decisions that make everyone happy. Steve Jobs said, if you want to make everyone happy, go sell ice cream. Don't be a leader. If you need to be liked, if you need to please people, if somehow you get your sense of worth and value and security from people needing you, depending on you, loving you, it's very likely that you'll fail at follow through. The reason why is because eventually you're going to put yourself in a position where you can't live up to the expectation that those people have of you. And it's really your own fault because those are expectations you created because you taught them, you trained them to look to you and to depend on you. Okay, leaders will fail at follow through if they can't say no, if they just want to look good, if they don't have good awareness about what they're really capable of, and if deep down inside they feel this need to just please people all the time. I want you to understand, this is important. None of those things is necessarily bad. It's not necessarily wrong. I mean, leaders are human beings, and all of us on some level do want people to like us. We do want to look good in front of people. We do feel bad when we say no to them and all those things. These are very human feelings. These are human responses. The issue is that those things can also cause huge problems for leaders. And so the most successful leaders, I'm talking about in any sphere of life, whether it's politics or business or entertainment or ministry or education or military, it doesn't matter. Any sphere of life, the most successful leaders have learned that while those are natural human tendencies, leadership requires them to rise above that because they know if they don't, then they're going to position themselves to not be able to follow through on what they said they would do. And here's what happens if you consistently fail to follow through. And I'm watching this right now with leaders who I'm working with, who I'm coaching. I'm seeing this, kind of again, just as a broad, widespread problem in the leadership world. Here's what happens if you are consistently failing to follow through. Number one, you are going to lose credibility with people. Okay, that's obvious, right? I mean, when you say it and don't do it, when you're always late, when you never get back to people, when you can't make good on your word, when you do overpromise and underdeliver, you are losing credibility with people. People stop respecting you. They stop trusting you. And, it's not like every little thing that we do in leadership is bound by, this contract or written agreement or whatever. A lot of our just, normal, routine, day-to-day interactions with people, whether it's internal to our organization, our team members, our staff, our contractors, or it's external to vendors, to customers, to clients, to the marketplace. A lot of these day-to-day interactions really just require this sort of basic exchange of human goodwill and trust, this old school thinking that your word is your bond. People really do have that expectation of you. And so when their experience makes them start to doubt that your word is good, then you are going to lose credibility with people. And nobody expects perfection, okay? Most human beings have a pretty decent appreciation for other human beings, for the humanity that we all have. Life happens, emergencies pop up. We all get that. Okay, nobody expects perfection, but they do expect consistency. They do expect reliability. They do expect predictability. Maybe you've heard of the framework know, like, and trust, right? This is the process that happens when you're getting to know someone and moving, through a relationship with them. Traditionally, that's a framework that they use, kind of in professional setting, especially in sales, but it's true in personal relationships too. It's true at every level. We get to know someone, and in that process, we figure out if we like them, and over time, we decide if we can trust them. And so the question is, for you as a leader, as people get to know you more, do they like you more, and do they trust you more? And there's a lot of factors that go into it. And I'm not saying that, of course, but go back to what we said a minute ago, being liked it's not the end all be all, and it shouldn't be the driving factor, but it is a part of this process, or I should say maybe the lack of it could indicate that there could be a problem with your follow through. And here's why. Because if you can't follow through, I promise you, people are not trusting you as much as you think they are or as much as you want them to. And if you're not following through, what happens over time is they actually may not even like you as much as you want them to, right? So you went through this process of know, like, and trust, and they did like you, they did trust you, but now that you're not following through, they're not trusting you, and maybe they're not even liking you. This credibility thing is a big deal because it impacts your leadership. If you can't follow through, people don't want to do business with you. They don't want to be part of your organization. They don't want to do another deal with you. They may not even want to be associated with you. Okay, this impacts your reputation because once that starts to happen, now other people who are further outside of that circle, they hear about it, they sense it, they pick up on it, and they don't want to do business with you either. And it's not because you're a bad person. I'm not judging. I'm not, trying to, throw stones or whatever. It's not because you have a bad product or a bad service. It's just that at the end of the day, people want to work with a leader. They want to work with an organization that will back up what they say. They want to work with people who can follow through. That's the most obvious impact maybe that not following through is going to have, that you're losing credibility with other people. But there's actually something else that's happening that I would argue could be even worse. And that is that you lose credibility with yourself. It's one thing to lose credibility with other people. It's another thing to lose credibility with yourself. This is actually more dangerous. It's more debilitating. It happens very slowly, very subtly, but over time, there can begin to be this rift in your own psyche. Deep down inside, you are not a person who delivers. You're not a person who follows through. So even when you say something, when you're in the moment and you're committing to something, you're agreeing to something, there's a part of you that feels uncomfortable. There's a part of you that feels like something's out of alignment in the conversation itself because you know that you may or may not really be able to make it happen. And the reason is because you failed at follow through so many times that now it's not even an issue of, do other people believe me? It's an issue of, do I believe myself? And this is scary. It's scary when you start to develop the awareness that you are not a person who follows through, and so you don't even believe your own words. You don't believe your own promises. You don't believe your own commitments anymore. Over the last year or so, I've been on a bit of a health journey with a buddy of mine. And part of the process for us is that we're both having to kind of retrain ourselves with diet and nutrition, because apparently you can't eat the same things in the same quantities in your mid-40s that you could in your mid-20s and have the results that you want. So what we've noticed as we've been on this roller coaster ride is that we can do well with our food choices for a while, and then we fall off the wagon. And so, we re-up on the motivation and the focus, and it works for a while, and then we regress again. And, you go through that cycle a few times, and what we began to realize was that this is not really about a food thing anymore. This is not about a nutrition thing anymore. This is about a belief system. And what we both began to realize is that we were starting to not trust ourselves. It's like, if I say I'm not going to have dessert for a week, do I really believe it when I say it? If I say I'm going to cut out processed foods, I'm not going to eat sugar this month, whatever it is, do I really believe it? Or deep down inside, do I doubt my own ability to make good on that? Because I had developed a pattern at failing at the follow through. And so at some point, it wasn't about what anybody else thinks. It's about what I think of myself. It's about whether or not I believe myself. Failure to follow through leads to lack of credibility with other people. But maybe even more importantly, it leads to a lack of credibility within yourself, within your own mind and heart. And that affects your leadership. Because if you don't believe in yourself, it's hard to get other people to believe in you. If you don't respect yourself, it's hard to have other people respect you. Failing at follow through doesn't just make other people stop believing in you, it makes you stop believing in yourself. Now, if we're being honest, we can all recognize that there are probably areas that we fail at follow through, right? I don't know if anybody, if they're being 100% honest, would say that they bat 1,000 at this. Okay, we all have room for growth and improvement. Maybe it is in very behind the scenes personal things like diet and exercise. Maybe it's in more relationships, one-on-one with partner, with kids, or whatever. Maybe it's in what you think are little things like replying to communications. Maybe it is in the big things. Maybe you are missing deadlines and deliverables. No matter what it is, I think all of us who are leaders can benefit from focusing more on our follow through. And so I want to give you 4 really simple, really straightforward things that you can do that will make you better at this. And this list, not exhaustive, just comes from some of my personal experiences over the last few months working with leaders, some of the things that I'm observing that are causing problems and challenges for them in their businesses and their organizations, things that have caused problems for me. So there are more that you could add to the list, but here's something to get you started. 4 focuses for follow through. Number 1, say yes to less. Say yes to less. Okay, we talked a few minutes ago about the inability for so many leaders to say no as being really a key contributor to failing at follow through because you get overcommitted on doing things that you probably never should have been doing in the first place. So say yes to less. And I know saying no may be hard for you. It is hard for some leaders, especially if you're a people pleaser by nature. I personally don't mind saying no. I've developed the no muscle, but still there are moments that this creeps up on me because I don't want to let somebody down. I don't want to disappoint someone. And so if you're naturally like that, if you don't like to say no, if it doesn't feel good to you to say no, I want to give you a tool that's going to help you with this. One of my dad's most famous responses in both personal and professional settings is, "We'll just see." When somebody asks him for something or to do something or to commit to something and he's unsure whether it's a good idea or the right timing or whatever, he just responds with, "We'll just see." I can't tell you how many times I've heard that in my life. And the older I get, the more I appreciate it, the more brilliant I think it is because it kept him from overcommitting in the moment on the spot. "We'll just see" probably saved him from a lot of difficult situations over the years, maintained his credibility because he didn't have to back out of things later, and preserved relationships because he was not straight up saying no or rejecting the person or the idea. So if you don't like saying no to people, say, "We'll just see." Number two, another thing that you can do to focus on your follow through is to document everything. Document everything. Leaders, I beg you, I implore you, write things down. Write it down. I know you're smart. I know you're intelligent. I know you're capable. I know you've got, the memory of an elephant or whatever, but I promise you it's not as good as you think it is. And that's not your fault. There's more information coming to us and flowing through us than ever before. There's a lot we've got to keep up with, so that's not an indictment on you. But I'm shocked at how many leaders try to remember everything that was said in a meeting or discussed on a call or on a Zoom or whatever, but they didn't take notes, they didn't document it, and then shocker, they fail at follow through. So get a system for this. Take notes on your phone. Take notes by hand, on paper. I've got a notebook that I carry around to a lot of meetings to jot down the most important things, because for me, writing it down, physically writing it with pen and paper is what helps it stick for me. Use AI tools to record your calls and your Zooms or even your live meetings. Use to-do lists, project management tools, apps, whatever you need to do. If you don't document what you're committing to, I promise you, it's just a matter of time. You will fail at the follow through. Number three, third thing you can do to focus on follow through is to clear your communications. Clear your communication. Whether that's a daily thing for you or a weekly thing, you've got to figure that out. But on a regular basis, regular interval, clear your communication. Go through your emails, your voicemails, your text messages, Slack messages, whatever platforms you use, and make a note of what is required of you, what requires attention or delegation or action on your part. Respond to it if you need to. Make a to-do list item, delegate it to a team member or your virtual assistant, whatever your system is. But if you don't regularly do this, emails get pushed further down the inbox. This just happened to me this week. I need to practice what I preach because there was an appointment that I was trying to set up with a guy, and I had emailed him and he emailed me back, but I didn't clear my communication on a regular interval the way that I usually do. And that email went further, down the inbox, and I completely lost sight of it. Okay. So this happens to me too. Your text messages, right? They get further down the thread. If you've got to scroll through a few times, you're probably going to forget about it. Voicemails stack up because you listened when they came in, but you didn't reply, you didn't return the call right then. Okay, if you want to be good at follow through, set a regular cadence of clearing your communications. Number four, the last one, if you want to focus on follow through, is put margin in your calendar. Put margin in your calendar. Okay, you need space in your schedule. Experts call this white space. Okay, I'm talking about the 5 or 10 minutes in between calls, in between meetings. Maybe it's 20 or 30 minutes at the very beginning of your workday or the very end of your workday. These little windows of time where you can breathe, where your mind can catch up, where you can actually think about the things you've been doing and talking about all day. Okay, you need this time to review the last meeting and the takeaways and the action items, or maybe the end of the day. If you've been stacked meeting after meeting all day long, you've got to take some time to review those notes, because you are taking notes now. You're documenting things, or at least your AI bot is. Think about what was discussed, what decisions were made, how that affects what happens next for you or for your team. Okay, if you're just in go mode all day, every day, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., and you never take time to think about, to reflect, you don't have that space in your calendar, I promise you, you will fail at follow through. These are things I am watching leaders struggle with right now. These are things that I have and sometimes do still struggle with. Okay, so these are the basics, but they're things we have to have in place if we're going to be people who follow through. And we want to be leaders who follow through. We don't want to be like everyone else. We don't want to be caught in that epidemic that we see our peers and our coworkers and our competition falling into, where they're afraid to say no, unaware of their own capabilities, just trying to please people, just trying to look good. We don't want to be people who lose credibility with others or with ourselves. We want people who know us to like us, to trust us. And we know that failure to follow through is what is going to erode that quicker than just about anything else. So we're going to be different. We're going to stand out from the crowd. We're going to do the basics, right? And sometimes leadership is just doing the basics. It's not always glamorous. It's not always exciting. It's consistently executing on the basic foundational things that you know are going to move the ball down the field. Say yes to less. Document everything. Clear your communication. Put margin in your calendar. The basic, boring stuff. But the things that actually set us apart as people who can follow through, people who can keep our word, people who can stay on top of all the things that we have going on. And as a result, we are better leaders personally and professionally. Thank you for watching and listening to this episode. You can tell this is something I'm passionate about. I do feel better having gotten it off my chest, but I hope that it's helped you or challenged you too, because that's my whole goal. I want to help leaders. Okay, this is what I do. And sometimes it is the really big stuff. Sometimes, honestly, it's the small stuff that makes a big difference. And so if this is helpful to you, would you let me know? Shoot me a DM, put a comment wherever you're consuming the content. And would you take a moment to rate or review it so that we can help more leaders like you? You can find me at themattware.com or at themattware on all the social sites. I'd love to hear from you. Love to connect with you personally. Go out there, get better at follow through. And until next time, lead better and live bolder.